I think we're streaming. Let's see. We could use some music, so I'm gonna grab that music. We got no copyright songs we could play. I got this list recently. No, it's not what you're thinking. It's not when they tricked me into playing the cowboy song. No, 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 no. Alright. I think we're good. I think everything's working. I got YouTube is still live. Twitch is still live. And the music is too loud for me. I'm going to turn it down for me. Leave it for you guys. Let's see how loud it is. Okay, yeah, so it's minus 50 for my voice. Perfect. Okay. We're in it's game time. All right. I did not program this week on the game, so we are starting right where we left off. There's two things I want to do today. First off, I want to create a spawner that will spawn enemies, and when you get far enough away, I want it to respawn enemies. So those are the two things I want the spawner to do. I want it to be random, and I want there to be, like, you know, a maximum of 30 enemies or so on the screen. And then I'll worry about, you know, putting them in with some kind of editor at a later date. I haven't even done the editor yet. So yes, that's the first thing I want to accomplish. I want a spawner. The second thing I want to accomplish, and let me get these chats set up so if you guys are chatting I can see it. The second thing I want to accomplish, I wrote it down, where it is NPCs. So we're going to get the spawner to work, and it's not going to cause us any problems. It's going to be good to me. It's not going to be my typical effort where everything goes wrong initially, and then I eventually figure it out either on stream or off stream, and then I pout about it like a baby. Okay, that's not going to happen today. Today was going to be a good day. Okay, let me just check Discord. I did tell everyone, by the way, I don't know if I appreciate this unique name. We're keeping it family friendly here on this channel. I saw that, I was like, oh my god. It is funny to be in a childish way. Like, it appeals to my very childish sense of humor, so good job. But yeah, I'm keeping it family friendly, at least for the live stream from this point on. Now, there we go. I made sure that certain people were not watching before I showed that. Alright, so let's work on the first thing I said, which is the spawner. I'm thinking a simple little graphic is in order for the spawner, so we're going to make a little 3D object here. Keep it simple. I like to think of enemies as this thing, or better yet, like a diamond. And then I like to do circles for, like, pickups and stuff. It's just, like, whatever you do, as long as you have a system, you know, so that you can easily identify it. And I forget the command to instantly snap all these to a single vertex. Like, there's a way to just select all 5 of these and go bam, and then they all become a thing, and I forget how to do it. Almost done here. Gonna mirror this. There we go. And clip it. Done. There's our simple little object. Let's do let's do red. That way I don't have to create a material for it. So red is bad guys. And I think that's very obvious, easy to see at a distance, you know, that it's a diamond. And the circle will be obvious too, and it'll be yellow. So good to go. And then we'll do like green for player spawns or something. Oh, that's another thing I have to do. Let me write that down. We need player spawns between zones. So to do that, I also need to store level data, like enemy spawners, chest spawners, entry points, and player start locations. So depending on which like entry point you come from, you're gonna spawn in a different location. And then eventually I'd have to do the lobby system. We're not gonna do that right now. We're keeping it single player for now. We'll eventually get to the point where it's multiplayer. Just fixing my my screens here for a second. You can't see it off screen. Okay. Let's get this done. Oh, I forgot to apply. All that work doesn't matter if you don't apply. I like this copyright-free music. I was not expecting to like it, but I especially like it when it doesn't have vocals, because the vocals make it harder for me to think and talk and code if I'm listening to actual vocals. But if I'm just like bobbing my head to the beat, it's perfect. We'll call this enemy spawner. Oh, that's saved to the wrong location. Hold on. Yeah, I want it in here. I saved it to the Rogue Party 2 location. Oh well, now there's an extra one in there. Who cares? Alright, we exported. We get my folders set up. My folders gotta be set up right. Block and load 2, and then what's the other one? BL2? Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Get some energy today. Let's go. I love this music. Maybe you guys hate it, but I love it. I put it in there. Boom, boom, boom. Let's see. No, I don't want 2D. I want resources, models, enemy spawner, create prefab. Oh yeah, get rid of these animations. Just one less thing to load. Create a prefab, enemy spawner model. Beautiful. Now, how do I want to organize these into a array? Probably the easiest way to do it is to do it with a tag. And then I can have an infinite number of them. I don't have to worry about like creating like a list, an array. I mean, yeah, let's go with a tag. So we're gonna add a new tag called enemy spawners. I mean, there's many ways to do this, right? I could NM spotters. Actually, I think it makes more sense to make it just an array. I'm thinking out loud here. Sorry. When does this go away? Be removed next time the project is loaded. Okay. The way I'm thinking about this is when I load a level, I'm already going to have a list of the locations for all of the spawners. So that will allow me to immediately create an array of them. If I went with loading the level in scenes, which I could do, I haven't decided yet. If I go with scenes, then using a tag makes more sense because the objects will already be in the scene and I won't know their locations or how many there are. So by creating a tag, I can do a find all objects on that tag and immediately have the full list. So that's one way to do it. There's two ways to do it. So I think I'm going to go with the array method for now. But if I end up like using scenes, it all depends on whether I figure out a way to save this terrain. So if we go to the terrain here, where is it? Where's terrain? Oh, there it is. So if this terrain can be saved as an object and I can load it in on the fly, I don't need to have scenes. I can just have one scene do everything. If I end up needing multiple scenes, it'll get a little crazier. I'm going to have to store a lot of data, send it between levels, but things like the spawn locations will just be a tag that I can find all of them in. If I can't save the terrain off and I got to go the scene route. So I think I'm going to pretend right now like I'm going to figure out how to get the terrain to save and all these objects to save. And then we won't worry about scenes. I did a little bit of research on scenes recently, and a lot of people don't use them. they save the terrain somehow. So I'm gonna figure that out. But for now, let's get the spawner to work. We'll worry about the terrain another day. All right. I actually, you know, for the sake of the stream, I'm starting to wonder if I should leave some of like this in the background, so that people that like come to the channel randomly don't think that we're just staring at a sheet of code all day. Although we do kind of do that a lot, don't we? All right, so we need a new struct. And it's going to be called enemy spawner. And we're going to have an array of them. We'll call it enemy spawners. I really need to get naming conventions down, don't I? I flip-flop on this stuff a lot. And it's funny watching me do it, like the way flash image is capital there and then lowercase for these. It's interesting the way I do it. I kind of have a system in my head that I never officially wrote down, and I don't stick to it. So I really don't have a system, do I? But it works for me. I don't know. It's how my brain works. But when I go to work, and I had to code something recently for work, I started going into this mode of like randomly choosing variable case and stuff. And I realized that rereading the code, I'm like, I have to fix all this or they're going to think I'm insane. I guess I am in a way. I do this, right? I make games for a hobby. Despite the fact that they'll probably never make money, it doesn't matter. I just enjoy doing it. It's weird. It says live here, but not live up here. It's very strange. Thank you, Twitch, for the confusion. But, okay, I think we are officially live. Alright, so let's get going here. We're making our enemy spawners, then we'll throw them in the game and see how they look. So we're going to create a game object here. Let's make sure it's public so we can use it later. What else? Actually, there isn't much else on these things. I may not even need... because they're just a location, right? So I don't even need a structure. I could just have a list of game objects called enemy spawner. There's nothing really to these things. Yeah, so we're going to get rid of all this. We're just going to have a game object enemy spawners. Alright. And then we'll declare it in the start routine. And then we'll see what it looks like. So we got enemy spawners. And we'll say 30. We'll put down 30. And like I said, there's a couple ways to do this. I can use the tag to instantly know where they all are, or I can rely on saving them into a list on loading the level. Actually, probably the easiest way right now is to use the tags. So instead of doing this, we'll make a list of enemy spawners. Let's copy this over here. I need it up top. So I'm going to go back on what I said earlier. We are going to use the list, only because I don't have the level loading capability right now in the game. So let's go find an object here. This is our enemy spawner. It's so glorious. Let's do tags. New tag. We are going to put the tag in after I removed it. Enemy spawners. Okay. And we're going to make sure that he is tagged as an enemy spawner. Alright, so now since I updated the prefab, everywhere that I put one of these things is now officially an enemy spawner. You see the tag up there? Enemy spawners. So let's put a couple in here. I want to put them a little bit in the air so that the enemies kind of flop down onto the ground. And you don't worry about like collisions and stuff. Let's put a couple of these down here. And I'm purposely putting them near the edge because I want to set like a distance where enemies start respawning if you're far enough away. And this little world that I made is not very big, so I kind of need to put them pretty far away. Alright, so there's 3 on that side. Let's put one over here in the corner, and then we can go to the opposite corners and see if they start respawning in after we kill them. Alright, get down in here. I think I'm a little too close to the ground there. The slugs are pretty big, so I don't want to put them like too close to the walls or anything. Okay. I think we're done. So now we just need to make a list out of that array. And to do that, I'm going to go to one of my other projects, because I did it recently in there. Where's a piece of spider? There we go. This game's on Steam, by the way. It's a silly little horror game. It's not really meant to like scare the crap out of you. It doesn't have jump scares or anything. But it is a pretty fun little horror game. And it has like interesting game mechanics. You use like a camera to figure out where the enemies are, and then you try and like run through the house when they're not in that way. And so it's kind of like a stealth game. And you can hide under beds and stuff. It's definitely fun. Like, it's definitely worth doing at least once for the experience. I really enjoyed it. And then you can play endless mode, where you can like set like maximum number of ghosts in the house and like make them really insane and difficult to deal with. And that's just like, if you really enjoy the gameplay, that's the way to test your limits. But yeah, Peas the Spider on Steam. Plug over. Okay, so let's go to tag. I think it's called like with tag. Yeah, there it is. Game objects.find. And is this a list? It was a structure. So it might have to be an array instead of a list, but that's not going to slow us down. We're fine. I don't know how loud the music is for you guys. It's like the perfect level for me, but you let me know if it's too much. So we are going to go back to an array here. And for the tag name, enemy spawners. If I was at work, I'd be like, let me make a constant for this and put it up top, and then that way it's in it. No, we're not at work. We can do whatever the hell we want. Did I spell it right at least? Enemy spawners. Okay. So now this thing instantly becomes an array of all spawners. Alright, and then now we have to decide what we're going to do with that array. So I think if we do a little pseudo code here, there's 2 concepts. Initially, when you load the level, you're probably going to want to instantly spawn enemies at the locations if they're not near the player. You're also going to want to, every couple of seconds, check to see where the player is, how many enemies are on the map, and then randomly spawn if no players are near the spawners. You don't want to do it constantly because there's math involved, and anytime you do math constantly, like every frame, it can cause problems for people with high frame rates. So at the very least, we'll spread it out a little bit. So let's think of some of the variables we're going to need. We need to know distance, right? So we'll say spawner player distance. So we're going to need that, and that's a float. How far away is the player? And we'll call it like I want to say like 20 is 40 maybe. It depends on how far I let the player see. I don't want enemies to just spawn on top of them, but I think 40. We'll do 20 at least for right now because that area is so small, and then we'll change it later. Do I need anything else? I probably need a list of enemies that can spawn in the level, now that I think about it. So we'll create a it doesn't have to be a list. I hate using lists, by the way. Lists are the worst. Like, if they have a function, right? So lists are really good when you have no idea how big an array is going to be, and it's going to change periodically. What they're really bad at is when they change constantly. So if you are constantly removing and adding items to a list. Let's say you used a list for your enemies. Like okay, I have 30 enemies. I'm gonna make it a list. The more complicated the objects in the list, the worse the list will perform. So like if I actually tested this on Xbox when I was making games on Xbox 360, and I was able to get 5-10 times the enemies on the screen working with high frame rates using arrays instead of lists. And the reason is every time you remove from a list, the computer has to store all the data in that list in 2 separate lists. Because it has to keep track of the original content in the list, and then it creates a new list based on the old one with the changes. And then it wipes out what was in the original list and provides you with the new one. So it's like, think of it as like cloning the list and then modifying the new one to what you want and then killing off the old clone. That's how it works. That is horrible. Like in terms of memory usage, in terms of computing power, you start getting into like hundreds of objects that are complicated things like an enemy with game objects and all these other variables. It becomes really bad. And so lists are really good when they're smaller and you don't have a good idea of what's going to be in them, like how long it's going to be. So a good thing like the spawning points on a map. You don't know how many there are going to be. It doesn't make sense to constantly be reassigning an array. Like you can do it that way, but a list is just easier to write and easier to work with. So I like to think of them as like high computing cost, but low maintenance. That's how you can think of it. And an array is higher maintenance, but better computing costs, because you can do things like loop through the array and just have a little boolean that says whether that particular object is active or not. And that's what I do all the time. But because I'm using this tag thing to figure out the spawners, I'm going to use a list because it's just the easiest way to maintain it. And the spawners are not going to change frequently. They're only going to change on level load. So that's why I'm choosing to use a list. And I say that because people use lists because they're so easy to use, and then they get into like enemies and bullets and all these other things that are like high maintenance, and they try to use a list and they wonder why they can only have so many objects on the screen at once. And it's all because of the removal feature in the list. Anyway, that's my critique of lists versus arrays. Anyway, we need a list of enemies. After saying all that, I'm gonna make a list of enemies. Alright, and we'll call it spawn types, maybe? Spawnables? We'll call it level enemies. Alright. Why is this mad? Don't be mad at me. I think that's all we really need. Oh, we need a timer. Min time between spawns. And we'll do... let's do 10 seconds. Every 10 seconds it'll check. Actually, maybe even that's too much. We'll do 5 for right now, just so we can test it, and then we're gonna tweak all these numbers to get like a good place. The original blocked and loaded, I think it was like 10 seconds between spawns, and it felt really, really good in the game because enemies died quickly. In this game, it looks like the enemies might be a little bit more bullet spongy, so I might have to increase the amount of time. Otherwise, they overwhelm you, right? Alright, so let's go back down to enemy spawners in the start routine. Okay. And the only thing I really need here is the level enemies. And this should all go inside of like a like load level routine, so we're gonna have to do that later. Probably not today. What was it called? E-type or enemy type? Slug. There's only one, so to do. Get this into a level. Actually, we can do it right now. What am I talking about? Wait. Oh. I'm an idiot. There we go. There we go. I had the wrong enemy type, or enum type. Alright, so now we got that working. We got our enemy spawners. Let's get this out into a like load level thing. And we'll put it at the bottom of start, which is right here. Load level 0. I really don't like putting things in between start and update. I feel like that's sacred ground that you leave alone. That way, when you find start or update, you know where it is. Alright. Public, load, level, int, index. There we go. Stop complaining. Thank you. See, he listens when you yell at it. It's kind of like a child. Public void. Don't yell at children, sorry. Family friendly. Family friendly! Sorry. We'll worry about the index later. We can say something like if index equals 0. We can do a switch. If it makes the coders in here happier, we can do a switch. I know some people like switches. And then we can do stuff in here like clearing out bullets and all that other stuff, but I'll leave that for off stream to do. Add clear bullets, enemies, assign player position, etc., etc. Okay, but for now we are hyper focused on the spawners. Keep me honest, guys. Thank you, Appease the Spider. We don't need you anymore. Appreciate you. Check that out on Steam. Alright, we have our spawners in place. Now, after this code runs, we should get a list of spawners. So I'm just going to do a little break here and make sure that it's working properly. Boom. Let's see, what does this look like? So we got 6 spawners. There they are. That's beautiful. Stop this. Now we want to actually see if we want to spawn enemies. So at the bottom of this index switch where we load everything, we're going to spawn enemies. I could do a for each here because I'm using a list. It might actually make more sense. You can also do ints 0 to the end of the list. We'll do a for each though. For eaches I think are also memory. I don't remember. Don't quote me on that. Game object. That's right. They're game objects. E and enemy spawners. Sometimes it takes so long to like correct an issue. I get confused whether I did something wrong. All right. So if we gotta check the distance, right? Make sure the player's not too close. So if enemy spawner, or we just do E. Vector3.distance. Player, is that the right thing? Yeah, player. Transform.position and E.transform.position is less than, what did we call it? Spawner player distance. Or less than or equal to. Do equal to. Doesn't really matter. Then, is spawner far enough away from players? To do, add other players. And allied enemies. I call enemies enemies even if they're allied to you because of how the objects work. So that's why I do that. Okay. Don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, you can also come over to Twitch if you like the Twitch platform better. I'm doing both, and vice versa. I don't think anyone prefers YouTube over Twitch though. I think some people just don't have Twitch accounts, so they use YouTube. I haven't found the other way around because YouTube doesn't offer anything other than, the chat. Whereas with Twitch, you can do a whole bunch of other stuff, and I've got like stickers and pop-ups and stuff. It's cool. All right, ways to interact. Is the spawner far enough away from players? So probably should do greater than, right? And then we need chance to spawn. That's a variable I forgot. We'll do 50% chance. We could do 100 for testing purposes, but there's 6 of them, so we should get at least 1 or 2 enemies. We'll do 100% for testing. For testing purposes. We need all 3 of these actually in the level. Right here. We're going to define these per level, because if you have like a smaller level, maybe the distance is smaller because there's like things in the way between spawners, so you can't see the enemies spawning. But yeah, if random dot range 1 to 101, that means 1 to 100, is less than or equal to my good English, then we want to spawn enemies. So add enemy. And now this is where we have to pick randomly from the list of enemies. So we're going to say random.range 0 to level enemies dot length dot count. So if there's only one of them, less than 1 would work. So that's correct. And then, although wait, it subtracts 1 from this. So it'd be 0 to 0, which is correct, because when there's only one object in the array, the only index is 0. So if there were 2 objects in the array, you would have a 0 or a 1. Your count would be a 2. Random.range subtracts 1 from the end, so that would be a 1. So it would be a 0 or a 1. So that would work. Yeah, I just had to say it out loud. So that works fine. There we go. And I should probably have enemy type. Oh, that's in the list already, so we're good. And then we just need the position, which is going to be e.transform.position. So there you have it. Enemies spawning at least at the start of the level. Oh, wait. Oh. I think I have to do a typecast here. Or I can say level enemies and then this. That work? Should work. There we go. All right. Let's ship it. Let's see if that works. So if this worked correctly, you should have 6 slimes spawning. And I think they just did. In fact, we can check it out. There they are, our little slimies. Now, what's interesting is the ones over here did not spawn because I'm too close to them. So that shows you that that is working. Now, I think there might be some hit detection problems here. Can the slug move out from under? No, it can't. I think he's stuck. Maybe not. Maybe not. But I don't want those to be drawn in the camera. So let's correct some of these issues here. If we go into the enemy spawner, he's got a mesh renderer. I think the layers should change. And we'll call this layer enemy. Oh, we'll call this layer editor. So I'm only I will see this as the grand editor. And did that affect all these guys? No, it did not. I hate when it does that. There's a way to change the overrides, but I don't care. Editor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where's the 6th spawner? Up here. Editor. Okay, so now the spawners all are in layer editor, and now when I go to the cameras, chest camera, I don't have editor. Good. Where's the regular camera? It's typing camera. I don't remember where these things are. It's been a week. Head camera is mixed, does not have editor. Inventory camera is everything. It should not have everything, it shouldn't have editor. Profile camera is only player. Okay. There's a little profile camera right there. He's so cute. Look at him. He's wearing peaches, little cheekies. Alright. Let's hit play. Get this screen over here. And I cannot see the little diamonds. And let's make sure like I don't run into them or anything. Because they're right here. Okay. I don't hit them. Can I shoot them? Looks like I can't shoot them. Looks like bullets are going right through. Perfect. I love that you can climb the slug. It's so funny. Sometimes Unity is hilarious. We can go bang. He can't actually hit me with his bullets right now. So he's just shooting up in the air. I love the little slime bullets. I think they're cool. I don't know if I like the dirt effect when they hit stuff. I think it should be like green. So that's something to think about. Add that to my to-do list. Slug shots should cause green goop, not the normal white dust effect for bullets hitting stuff. Look at my freaking to-dos in this game. It's crazy. This, like, Blocked and Loaded is a complicated game. I don't think people realize how complicated it is. And that game, you couldn't jump. Now we can jump. There's a whole new layer. Literally, a new vertice. Or not vertice, axis. There's a new axis now that you have to worry about. Okay, so there's one last thing to do for the spawners. We want them to periodically spawn enemies. So we can just take this code right here. And actually, I think what I'm going to do is make it a function, because we're going to use it twice. So public void try spawn enemies. And I could do things like make it so that it will try to spawn a particular enemy. That's kind of cool. Or I could even have it spawn at a specific spawner. So those are things I could do now with this try spawn enemies. And I could do things like change the chance of a spawn. And the reason you would do all that is, like, let's say you wanted a boss to appear. Well, you could use the same function. And it would loop through and it would create bosses at like each spawn point or at a specific spawn point. So it could be quite useful. I just don't need any of that right now. But that's where I would do it. Okay, try to spawn the enemies. Great. Now we need an update function. It's so simple. I might even take it outside of... no, I'll leave it in here. I'll leave it in here. Alright, so public void update spawners. And we'll say... what was the spawn time? The min time between spawns. We need something to set it back to. So we're gonna say float spawn timer is equal to 0. Okay. And where I'm calling this update spawners, it's gonna happen every 0.02 seconds. So we're gonna add 0.02f instead of saying like delta time that's elapsed. I know it's 0.02 seconds, so I'm just going to add it. It's just silly otherwise. Alright, so if spawn timer is greater than equal to... Oh, we need maximum enemies. Float maximum enemies. We'll do 30 for now, but this needs to go in here. If spawn timer is greater than equal to, I forget the name of the thing already. It was like min time between spawns. I can't type. Why can't I can't type. Why? Spawns. I still can't type. No, I still can't type. Oh my god. Oh, okay, taking a break. Calm down, hands. What was it? Is it just spawn timer? It's like, what is wrong with me? It's like the mixture of autocorrect and me just being bad. Okay, just gotta rest my hands. My hands are actually tired. I did a lot of typing the past 2 days. Part of the reason I didn't code at home is I did so much coding at work. I had to write. What did I do at work again? What was like? How can I say this? I had to write code that produced an XML message that was in the correct format for someone who was receiving it, and the XML message contents was the more difficult part, and I had to like get that from a database, and so it was just a lot of like typing, and I couldn't just copy and paste because every variable was named differently, and it wasn't like variable 1, variable 2, variable 3 where you can do like an alt select and like change them all. No, I had to like type them by hand, and it actually made my hands hurt. Like I'm feeling it right now. I was a little data entry guy at work yesterday, but they had budgeted I think like 5 days to do the work, and I got it done in 1, and probably because of the typing. Now my hands hurt. But anyway, moving on. So spawn timer is greater than or equal to minimum time between spawns. It's time to spawn the enemies. So we literally just set it back to 0 and then call try spawn enemies. The way this works now is every 5 seconds it's just going to spawn enemies. The problem is it's going to constantly do it. So we need to have some tracker for whether we really want to spawn the enemies. And we're going to do that in the try spawn enemies. We're going to have a variable called int total enemies. I kind of want to do this outside of this function to minimize the number of times I'm looping through the enemies in the game. So for now I could say like, you know, loop through the enemy list. Every time I find an enemy that is active and is an enemy to the player, I add 1 to this. You know, I could do it that way. If I do it in here, that means I'm everywhere else that I'm looping through the enemies. I'm kind of wasting the opportunity. And this this update spawners is happening every 0.02 seconds at the end of the frame. So at the start of the frame, when I'm looping through the enemies, I could just take a total of the enemies, and that's what I'm going to do. The only thing that sucks about that is if like an enemy dies right as I then check this, I wouldn't account for it. So there's pluses and minuses. For now, there's only 30 enemies, so I'm going to loop through them. But I had to like think about it out loud, sorry. Enemies.length, I++, if enemies, it's my typing, man, my fingers are messed up. If enemies.active is equal to true, and enemies. Do I have a team? I thought I had a team. It was called like allied or something. I don't think I have it. Let's add it. Public. We need an enum. Public enum allegiance. I think that's spelled right. Enemy. Friendly. We might have some stuff like neutral and things like that, but for now, enemy and friendly. Allegiance. Okay, and then when we add the enemy, we'll set the allegiance. Enemy. You know, you might spawn something in. Oh, it feels bad, man. How old are you, Mutt? Miati? M3 Utwan. How do you I don't know how to say that. I always get rejected in interviews. Feels bad, man. 19. Okay. So I think, first of all, don't blame yourself. It's good to criticize yourself and think of like what you could do better, but you shouldn't put 100% of the blame for why you didn't get a job on yourself. And here's why. Your employer is coming into that meeting, or your potential employer is going into that meeting with a mindset of what they want. it is not your fault all the time if you don't meet those requirements. For example, they could be looking for someone with a specific skill set that you haven't worked with. If they're not willing to put the time in to a new employee to teach them that skill set, it's not necessarily your fault, right? They could also be looking for a certain type of personality that you don't have. Not your fault, again. You can't change your personality. I would say if you start to understand what they're looking for in an interview, it can really help you. I would say that when you go into an interview, you're going to want to talk a lot, but you shouldn't. You should be excited about the position, and that'll come forward in the way you speak. But you should also have questions for your interviewer that reveal your knowledge. And it's very hard to do that at 19. So what I did when I was going for interviews at that age is I would show a lot of energy. So I would say, I'm really excited to work. I want to put my head down. I want to work. But at the same time, I know that I'm new and I need to learn a lot. So I'm going to put my energy into learning from this team that I want to join. And I just want to let you know that I am then going to transition into, you can exaggerate if you want, but like I'm going to be the best employee. Like I really want to go. I'm ready to go. This is what I want to do. That's ways to show enthusiasm, right? If you show enthusiasm, if you show energy, if you sound excited, if you're just sitting there with like a dumb look on your face, not saying anything, that doesn't help you, you know? So I don't know how your interview went. I'm not saying you did anything wrong. And what I'm trying to tell you is you may have done nothing wrong. But if you've gone through multiple interviews and you keep having issues, reevaluate how you're approaching the interview process. You can do things like write a cover letter to your resume that's specific to the job you're trying to get. Now, I would only do this if it's a job you really, really want. When an employer sees that you took the time to write a cover letter, it means a lot. It means that you're not just spamming hundreds of people with your resume without tailoring it to what you're trying to do. A cover letter lets you tailor your resume without having to change your resume. So a cover letter, you can call out things you did in your resume that apply to this new job without having to change the resume for all your other jobs, so that you can just keep sending it but just have a changed cover letter. I will tell you this, I was a terrible interviewer at 19. I was horrible. I was atrocious. I thought I was doing a good job. And the reason I got jobs at all at that age is because I showed a lot of energy. You're allowed to be young and dumb, right? If you have a lot of energy and you show that you're going to put that energy towards a good cause. The interviews that I got better at, how did I get better at them? First of all, you need to do more of them. That's the first. You need to get over like being afraid. You need to get over getting tongue-tied. You need to get past all those things, and you only get past those with experience. So the more you interview, the better you'll be at it. But I think if you start looking at the interview from the employer's perspective and what they want to hear, what they want to see, like how you dress matters, show that you're dressing for the job. You can overdress in an interview. There's nothing wrong with that. You probably should. Like you should be clean cut. You should have a haircut. Like you need to show that you're prepared for this interview and that you care. And it really depends on the type of job. And you haven't told me what type of job it is. So I assume it's coding. Alright, so we add our enemy's allegiance. But yeah, I could talk for days about interviews, the interview process, because I've done a lot of it on both sides. I know what employers are looking for. Yeah, sorry if I went a little long. Just like a couple key takeaways. Don't blame yourself, but criticize yourself. What could I have done better? But know that that doesn't mean you could have gotten the job. Sometimes people interview you and they've already decided you're not going to get the job when you walk in. But they committed to an interview and there's nothing they can do about it. So they're going to go through the process. They're going to get to know you and they're going to say, okay, I met this person. I'm going to write down his name and his contact info from the resume, and maybe I'll get back to him for a different job at a later date. And so one of the things I would do in my interviews is I would say, look, this is the kind of job I'm looking for. And if I started to realize that the interview wasn't going well, if I was on the interviewing side, as the interviewee, I would say things like, I understand, like, maybe from talking to you, this isn't the perfect fit, but hopefully you know someone else who I can work for that it would be a good fit. I think if you say things like, I'm ready to learn, I want to put a lot of energy into this, I'm excited to do this, it means a lot, and it puts you above all the people who just sit there and say nothing, or the people who sit there and say a lot but it doesn't mean anything. Because remember, you're 19 years old. You have no experience. The only thing you can put forward is your energy, because that's something that a 45-year-old guy doesn't have, or girl. I don't know if you're a guy or a girl. So energy to learn, energy to do the grunt work. You're willing to do anything. These are the kinds of phrases that really help you, because the interviewer, he knows your situation. He knows the limit of what you're capable of. So all you got to do is get close, and then if he has the spot open, he'll give it to you. I wouldn't say though that it's necessarily your fault if you don't get an interview. There are many times, even as the interviewer, I knew I wasn't going to be able to hire the person, but I'd committed to an interview anyway. Sometimes the interview before you was perfect and they decided on that person, and now they're kind of stuck and they committed to interviewing you and they're going to do it anyway. And like I said, that's why you want to leave it open. Hey, if you know anyone else who's looking for someone, I really would appreciate it if you passed it along. And if it's a big company, they will. If it's a big company, they probably will, even if you don't ask them to. So yeah, try to listen to what they're saying very carefully, and then ask questions based on what they're saying. And they could be the kind of interview who just asks you a bunch of questions, which when you're 19 years old is not the right approach. If I was the interviewer for a 19-year-old, I would focus on some of the things I mentioned, and I would say, like, hey, what do you do with your spare time? If you had a hobby that was related to the job you're trying to get, that would be amazing, because it would show energy, it would show commitment, it would show that you really are excited and that you love this stuff so much you're doing it in your spare time and you can't wait to do it at work. So I hope that helps, man. I hope I didn't tell you too much there. I just, stay, keep trying. If you're 19 and you're in college and you're trying to get an internship, you should do that. But know that they probably won't hire you till you're 20 or 21. That's usually the age that they take interns. So just understand, again, it may not be your fault. Speaking of what's my fault, let's get these enemies to spawn, right? So enemy allegiance. Excuse me. Enemy. So total enemies. Plus, we need this variable somewhere. Allegiance is equal to enemy by default. We need a total enemies up here. Int total enemies is equal to 0. Alright, total enemies plus plus. Perfect. So now we know the total enemies. And we only want to keep spawning if the total enemies does not reach a certain threshold. Right? So we have a maximum number of enemies per level. So we'll say if total enemies is greater than equal to, it really should never get greater than, but we'll put it in there just in case. Maximum enemies break. So get out of the for each loop. We could put it up here, but this way I'm also handling the case where I just added an enemy and then it goes back up here and now all of a sudden we have too many enemies. So I'm handling both cases here. It's just simpler. So that's it. So now when I play, I should be able to get 30 enemies to spawn. And they're spawning every 5 seconds. So I'm going to run over to the other side. And enemies should spawn over there now too. How many seconds did I say? Was it 5 or 10 or... Oh, I didn't call update enemies. I'm an idiot. We're not calling this function here. Update spawners. So update will go there. Update spawners. Okay, if I did this right, they're going to just keep spawning and spawning until there's 30 of them. They're going to spawn like rabbits. So down at the bottom of the screen, 3 slugs have spawned. There, 3 more. Now we run over to the other side. I'm a little red line over there. Oh, they spawned over there. I gotta run over here. 5 seconds. Oh, he spawns. Oh, go back. Spawn over there. You gonna spawn over there? Do I have it? Too many spawns? Maybe I have too many spawns now. Let's see. We got 1, 2, 3. They stack. We got 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 12 enemies. Now, why did they stop spawning? Let's check the code. How many enemies are there? There should be 30 enemies. So I'm a little confused why it stopped, but let's take a look here. Oh! Do you guys know why it didn't work? Can you figure it out? I want you to look right here. I'm adding the total number of enemies. I never reset the value. So it was just constantly adding enemies every time it tried to spawn, which is why we got the 12 and the math worked out that it was actually 30 total. So now it should work. And let's keep track of when we add an enemy. Let's say total enemies plus every time we add one. So we got it. We set it to 0. We loop through them all. Let's say there's 12 of them. And then down here, we start going through all the spawners, and we say, okay, 12 is less than 30, so we're going to keep going. Add an enemy. Now it's 13. Do the same logic. So, okay, we're good to go. Now we should have constant spawning enemies. And I'm going to use the camera up here to like move around so you can see the enemies spawning. Oh, there's 6 of them down there. I'm going to come down here. Oh, they spawned over there. Oh, go back. Ah, I'm going back. Spawn away. Oh, they spawned. Go. I'm using the top-down camera. Oh, they spawned. Go. It looks like the code's working. Everything's working great. I'm going to splash in the pool. Splash. Oh, it looks so cool from far away. Oh, God, I can't navigate. They are just spawning and spawning. Oh, you know what we should do? We should piss them all off. Oi, let's piss them off. We got our gun. Look at them stacked on top of each other. Boom. Ah! They're all pissed. There's so many pissed slugs right now. Let's kill some of them, because killing is fun. I mean, family friendly. Boom. He dropped an item. Chest piece. Let me run away so they don't get mad at me. Stop being mad, slugs. Oh, look, I can put my new chest piece on. Things are going great. Oh, they're not mad anymore. They're back to eating grass. Eat your grass. Nom, 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 nom. I love that they stack on top of each other when they spawn. That is freaking hilarious. Nom, 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 nom. Like, imagine seeing this in the game. What? We got our cool little chess piece. I love it. Oh, they're mad. I don't have, like... Oh, he dropped an item. Give me that. What is it? It's twigs. Yeah, things look like they're working pretty well in the game. Alright, we're done spawners. Moving on up in the world. Done with the spawners. We want to do NPCs. NPCs next. You know, I don't think the player model has a talking animation. We're going to want to add that for our NPCs. NPCs are complicated, by the way. They're very complicated. I, like, desperately need to blow my nose. I'm muting. Alright, let's also change the spawners to be more realistic. I think the spawn distance should be 30. I think time between spawns should be like 15 seconds. Chance to spawn should be like a 33% chance. And maximum enemies for like a low level area should probably be like 12. Shouldn't have tons and tons of enemies everywhere. So that's a good start. Now, I think what I'm going to start off with doing is updating this terrain so that we can have some more stuff in here. And maybe like a house for our NPCs to live in. Obviously, the slugs will be annoying, but we'll just leave them in there for now. They're neutral, so they don't attack on sight. And when I create an area that's a town, there aren't going to be enemies in the town. So I'm going to update this, actually. I mean, if I did, that would be something new for Blocked and Loaded. The concept of having like the open world so open that you can like run in and out of a town. That would be something new for me. I don't think I want to do that. I think I like the idea of you enter a town and you can't attack anything. So we're going to have this boolean for in town. And when we load the level, we're going to say in town is equal to true. So now we're in town. So what does it mean to be in town? Well, first of all, you can't shoot anyone. Oh, you know, actually, I'm thinking about it. Should we add the on-use abilities now? That'd be better. I mean, I committed to this, so I'm going to do it. But I think tomorrow when we stream... Oh, make enemies not always drop items. Yeah, I need to do that. Let's say... Oh shoot, now I forget what I was saying. You're in town. Oh, on-use items. We have not created this. So on-use items would be something like throwing a bomb or eating something. We'll do eating food. And then rings, QE. Option plus screen icon. And I want to have Q. One ring will heal you a small amount. Buff to heal 1 health every second for 10 seconds. So it's very, very like weak little thing that's just useful. 60-second cooldown. Just a way to heal over time when you first start the game. And then another ring, it needs to do something else that's equally small. Maybe shoot a fireball. Fireball that causes burning debuff. So that way I'll get a healing buff and a burning debuff all in one go. And it's a debuff for enemies only. Well, I guess it could also go on a player. Okay, and I want enemies to have Enemies can have multiple debuffs. That's something I did not do in my old game. I made it so you only had one in Rogue Party 2 and Blocked and Loaded. I think enemies could only have one debuff. I actually don't know if enemies had debuffs in Blocked and Loaded. I don't think they did. Yeah, I don't think they did. I think I'm gonna stay away from enemies having debuffs for now. I think it was all just focused on buffing the player. Like, you could get some debuffs, but you primarily got buffs. And we could do explosions. So it's just like 3 pistol shots in one attack. So it's a good little shot, but it's not. These things are nothing to write home about. They're going to be replaceable instantly, but still have some use to you. All right. What do we want to focus on now? NPCs. Well, first of all, I don't want enemies to drop items all the time, so where did I do loot tables? Take this out, put it in load level. Actually, we're going to do loot table.clear, and we're going to leave this back where it was. Did I break anything? No, okay. And then for our loot table, we're going to say like 5% chance of this. You know, 5% chance of that, and a 5% chance of that. We'll just leave it like that for now. I'll change it later. Oh my gosh, I hate that. I'm thinking about making that not visible unique. It is funny though. It's not family friendly. It's a pink monster. Alright, now we gotta do NPCs. So to start off with an NPC, you need a talking animation. Nice run animation there. This is looking really special. Did I not finish the run animation? I don't think I did. I probably should do that before I make the talk animation. Yeah, we need to reverse all of these. Pretty close. Ah, I hate when I do that. It's not exactly on the right spot. Let's see. Heavy modeling, breathing intensifies. They are not even close to the same thing. Okay. Let's do this. This will be easier to see for me. Yeah, it looks a little similar. Just gotta bring this guy up now. This is like the cheater's way to do a run. It's not going to look normal because there's no feet landing. And the feet kind of like scuff on the ground, but I can fix it as I go. For now though, I wanted the highest point of the run. So 20 to 100. We can fill in the blanks here. But for now, I just want the highlight of the run, which is the highest point. And we can probably move his head up and down. Like we can bob a whole bunch of stuff here, so there's a lot of room for improvement. But all that can be added in between these frames. So I can have him like landing with his foot there. In fact, let's do that. So like as he goes up here, that's fine. But when he comes down, he probably should land on the foot. I mean, this is a wonky way to do running. This is very Minecrafty, the way they just rotate the points and don't actually show foot impacts. But it's also the way Blocked and Loaded 1 worked. So for now, we're going to leave it. And we're just going to focus on making the animations. I'm going to give myself a little bit of leeway here. So all this space here is to figure out the run animation. That's plenty of space. And now from here to here, we're going to do talking. Like he's making a point and he's waving his one arm, like, "Hey, I'm talking to you." So the head went down, and now it's going to come back up. And then the arms are kind of moving out this way. So I'm going to have this hand go back and this hand come in. And then we can like reverse it to have him put the hand back down. Take that there. I think actually when he makes his point right here, like he's in the middle of saying something, I want to raise this arm up. And then back down. See what that looks like. I'm talking, I'm making a point, and then we're going to go back to normal. So 160 to 120, and then this will just play randomly while you're talking to the guy. And when it gets back down here, I kind of want his head to go up and down. Like he's still talking but not moving his hands. $250. Let's see what that looks like. Maybe we could put a little hand motion into there. So you could actually have multiple talk animations that you kind of mix together, and then it becomes much more believable. So this could be a single animation, and then this could be its own animation, and then we could do something else like where he tilts his head or something. So you end up with 3 animations that you randomly play, not all together at once, but just randomly in between each other, and then it'll look much better. And again, like when they make a point, it helps if you raise the arm up and then back down. People do that when they're talking. Okay. And then his head's not doing anything there, so we're going to tilt it down. And then we're going to go back to normal. So we've now created 3 animations for speaking. So let's play them all together. Just make sure that they look believable. He's talking. He's talking still. Yeah, like those look good. So we'll play these randomly while you're talking to the NPC, and it'll look like he's, you know, saying something. And the face will help too when he has a face. Also, players, when they talk, will play these animations as well. I thought I just saw something weird there. Did the hand like go inside him? Must have been my imagination. Alright, let's export this. And I left room for the running, so we'll figure out the running later. I don't need it right now. We're primarily in first person or standing still. Alright, we got our player now. And we have some more animations to add. Let's say, where were the cutoff points? Let's see, 160 to 220. That's one. That's the longest one, I think. So, 160 to 220, and we'll call this player talk 1. And the next one will be obviously player speak 1. No, I'm just kidding. Talk 2. We'll go from 290 to 250. Right? Yeah. No. Sorry. 220 to 250. I was reading the screen. 220 to 250. Okay, and then that last one, player talk 3. $250 to $290. So we just, you can't really see it down there. Let me make this bigger. So we got our 3 talk animations. I think it looks cool. What do you guys think? I think it looks nice. Maybe you hate it, maybe you don't. I appreciate it though. I will go to the player animations. We're going to add a new... I think I'm just going to play the animation actually. I don't think I'm going to have a... See, I could do all of the code inside of the player animator and say that you're like randomly choosing at certain points to play one of the animations. I could do that. Just trying to think about it right now. I feel like primarily NPCs are going to talk, and they're always standing still when they do it. So I don't need to worry about transitioning or anything like that, because the animation will fully play out and then end. For the player, when they talk, they could choose to start moving. And so when they choose to start moving, you have to end the animation. So I haven't decided yet what I want to do for the player. But for the NPC, it makes pretty much sense to just play an animation and then revert to the stand. Because at the end of the animation, you're already in a standing position. Every single one of them end that way. So there's no transitioning needed
other than to put them back in the stand animation, which is just them standing there doing nothing. I could add idles and stuff like that to them. Maybe I will. I think what I also will do is just make a separate animator for NPCs. I think that makes sense to have a separate animator. So we're gonna create animator, NPC animator. Okay. If we look at our player here, we need to talk. We need stand and talk animations. So we're just gonna throw them in there. And then each of these animations, I know it's tough to see, they just play and then go into the player stand. So the NPC, you know, maybe the NPC will have some emotes like cheering and whatnot that they'll play, and then they just go back into the stand position. I guess I could also, maybe I don't need an NPC animator. Yeah, we don't need that. We'll just put it in the player. That way we can reuse it for the player. Alright, let's go player animator. Where are my animations player? Oh, there you are. Give me your talk animations. I haven't really done a lot with the player animations because there aren't any really yet that he needs. There's going to be a lot of them. But because the player is first person, until you get multiplayer in the game, it's kind of silly, right? To focus on it anyway. I'm not going to focus on it, but I'm going to prepare for it. Alright, let's get player talk 1, player talk 2, player talk 3. Why did I not capitalize player talk 3? What is wrong with me? Ah, stop it. I'm telling you, it's my typing the past 2 days. Just way too much typing. Okay. So now we'll be able to play those 3 animations while you talk to an NPC. There's a lot that goes into the NPC data. For now, we're just going to make him interactable and like create a screen for you to talk to him in. Alright, so we're going to take this player model. We're going to throw him in here. We're going to call him NPC. So he has a different name. The layer can be default, that's fine. He does need, he needs to be able to be collidable. Give him a box collider. No friction. And we'll edit the collider. Let's get this a little bigger. I probably can use the exact same collider that I used for the player. I think that's a good Z. Let's get this right. Pretty good. Again, it doesn't have to be that great. You just don't want players like running into them constantly and going through them. It wouldn't be fun. But I think it would be funny to be able to jump on them and like have them not care. 7, make this a 9. not sure what that's gonna do in Unity. He might actually pop up off the ground now because of that. So let me get this box a little better now. Get it lined up with his feet. I don't want him popping out of the ground. Okay. Let's see what that looks like. Let's run into this dude. My dude. My friend. Hello, friend. Slugs aren't spawning. Standing on his head. Feels good, man. Why aren't the slugs spawning? Did I do in town? Did I actually use it? No. Why aren't the slugs spawning? They should be. Oh, I made the range too big. Put it back. We'll put it on 20. It's fine. Yeah, the range is too big. They're not spawning in, and it's only a 33% chance, so every 15 seconds. So if I come over here, there's some spawned over there. Got one. One slugger. What's up, my dude? Looks kind of cool. It's really hard to capture the original blocked and loaded model scheme. He has a little mask, by the way. There's like a blue shield in front of his face. But yeah, it was hard to capture this original look without making it look like garbage. So it looks decent. You can only do so much when the original concept art was a square. So now we want to make it interactable. So let me just think. So I have this thing called a bool interact option. We're gonna have something called int current NPC. Now, the way I did the chests, we go to chests over here. Where's chest? They had something called a chest script, and it literally just tracked the index of the object, so that when you interacted with him, I could then say, oh, that's chest number 1. So I'm gonna do the same thing here with the NPC. That looks cool. It's interesting the way they turned it into triangles. I did not model it with all those triangles today. I think they did that. They being Unity. It's interesting. Oh crap, we're using the player model, so I'll have to make a new model called like NPC or something. Alright, create variant. Never had to do this before. I've always had a single variant. I don't think I need an NPC layer. But I do need a mesh collider. How did I do the chest? Oh, I didn't have a mesh collider for the chest. Did I? I did, on the cube itself. That's what I did. Okay, I can do that. was mix, no friction, and the mesh. Okay. Mixed. No friction. What's the mixed? And then the mesh is this guy. Ugh. How am I going to pick this out? Can I rename it? Oh, man. Okay, there's got to be a way to rename it. No. Balls. Can I do this? Yes! Oh, we don't need this. Okay, we got our mesh. Mesh good. Oh, the mesh is it's based on the wrong animation. Okay, we're not doing a mesh. We're doing the box collider. Now for the chest, did I make it a trigger for the collider? I did not. Okay, good. So this will have two functions. It'll function as the thing that blocks you from moving, and it'll be the way to get this on my screen. Thank you. It'll be the way to trigger, like, talking to him. Cool. Save that. Let's get him in here. Oh, he's a big boy. He's a little big. What did I do for the player? Point 2, 0.205, and 0.2. Okay, there's our NPC man. Let's see what he looks like. Should have a box collider. Sorry, I know that's really hard to say. So I can't collide. Let's jump on top of his head. Beautiful. Now we just gotta get the interactions to work. New script, NPC interaction. Public and index. What do I do for the chest? Cool. So now when I spawn it, I'll update the index, and then I'll know when you interact with, index 3, it corresponds to all the information I know about NPC 3. some of my my structure here. Keep the same ideology with how I name things once in a while, right? So there's game object. There's not much else actually. There's pool active. There should be more like what they say, what kind of NPC they are, like whether they have a quest for you or whatever. For now though, we're just going to be active or inactive. We need to scroll that meme off of the front page in general. Clear chest. Probably need a clear NPC. I mean, there's probably only ever going to be a clear all NPCs, so I don't need a clear NPC. Okay, so I'll clear all the NPCs out. It's fine where we use clear all chests, and we'll do this in the same spots for now anyway. It should be part of loading the level though eventually. Alright, let's do 4 int I is equals 0, I is less than NPCs.length, I plus plus. Actually, I don't need to do this. Do I? I guess I need to set that to false. Yeah, otherwise it would be null, which I think works the same as a false in a if check, but I'm not sure. So we're just going to leave it as false. And then we need to do, what was it, spawn chest or something? Oh, we need chest spawners. Ah, crap. I'm going to put it at the top of my to-do list. Add chest spawner. The only reason I'm still doing the NPC is because I said I would do it. Otherwise, I would move right to add chest spawners. And you also need a loot table. I guess you could use the same loot table. Use same loot level loot table as enemies. Only spawn at start of the level. There's so much to do. There's so much to do. It's overwhelming. Alright, where do I add chest? Create chest is what it's called. Create chest. Let's get this out of here. Put it down here. Little beard itch there. Sorry if you heard it. Alright, you know, you got that COVID beard, you know? No one can see your beard, so it's kind of pointless to shave like crazy regularly right now. No one can see it. Right? Public void create NPC. And we're going to pass in... do we pass in anything? Oh yeah, back position. Position and quaternion rotation. You know, where is he facing? Maybe we don't care where he's facing. In the original game, they would turn to look at you when you talk to them. I think. And then they would go back to the way they were facing. I think. I forget, actually. I might have to play the game to remember what I did there. Just trying to think whether or not I want to have them always face a certain way. Like a shop owner should be facing forward, you know? But then when the camera is looking at him, we could temporarily have him face a certain way. So let's save the rotation of the NPC. So that's another thing to add to our struct for NPC. Public quaternion default rotation. So that's what he'll go back to after he talks to you. Can't spell. I think I've been playing too much DayZ lately. I need to cut back. It's such a fun game, but like, it takes too much time, you know? Did I not spell NPCs right? I don't understand. Well, why is that wrong? It's not a local variable. It's a higher level variable. I'm very confused. NPCs. It doesn't think that this is the same object. It's spelled the same. That works. But this doesn't. What the heck? What is going on? Am I insane? Don't answer that. Before it is declared. It's not a local variable. It's not local. Oh. Let me build. Something weird's going on. Is it this? Oh my gosh, it was that was down there was causing it all to oh my god, I was so confused. Oh, that was so weird. I haven't seen that before. Thank you, Visual Studio. I appreciate everything you do. Alright. We need an NPC model. We're also going to need to clothe this bad boy. Generic player model. Put clothes on. We don't need to randomly rotate. And we need to do NPC script, interaction. And we need to break out of this when you're done. Now when I created the chest, did I have an integer? No, I did not. Just a void. Cool beans. Let's create this. Tired of typing. Seriously, my fingers are like, they're starting to hurt. I might have to stop. I think I need a break for my fingers. We'll finish this up though. You're going bye-byes. Where is the NPC script? It's not on here. NPC interaction. Okay. Beautiful. Now part of every NPC in the future. Coming today. Coming soon. Alright. We're instantiating the model. We have to do the put clothes on. So we're going to look at how the player gets clothing. And we're going to do that. And yeah. So we're in the middle of creating NPCs. So we got to do, before we add this, in create NPC, put player clothes on, spawn an NPC at NPC spawner, needs data about the NPC that it will spawn. Have NPC spawner use the NPC model so you can see what it looks like. What else? When talking to NPC, turn him towards player. When done talking, turn NPC back to default rotation. Create canvas for text and options. Talking to NPC. What else do we need? Interaction button. Interaction option for NPC index. Basically, I'll put the NPC down. I'll put the materials on him that I want him to have and rotate him and call that an NPC spawner. I mean, if I'm going to do that, I might as well just have an NPC. I don't need an NPC spawner. Place NPCs in the world with the clothes you want. Save that way. So we'll have to load in the NPCs in some fashion with data about like what they look like and what they're gonna say and all that stuff. So we'll do that separately. I think it should be part of the script though. Script NPC, so NPC interaction script should have data about the NPC will say. Variables, not code. So we go to the NPC interaction script. We can have things like public string hello text. Whoops. Public string. My typing is atrocious right now. My fingers are killing me. Probably going to end early, but we'll finish some more of this. Offer quest. Public string on quest. Public string quest accept. Public string quest complete. Public string post quest. Or I guess he'll just do the hello text. If the quest is over, he'll just use his hello text to do that. Call it default text. So like if an NPC literally has no interactions with you, he's just going to say something, it'll be the default text. Otherwise he'll have offer quest, quest accept, on quest, quest complete. What else? You know, if he's a trader, he's going to have something to say, but that'll be the default text. So we'll have a like I can reuse these strings, right? So instead of quest complete, it could be like a thank you or something. And then every time you buy something, they'll say, you know, thank you for your purchase. Or I could just have them not say anything. What else do we need? Then we can get into like, you know, to do items for sale. You know, that kind of stuff. Type of NPC. So you could have a public enum NPC type. And it could be like talk only, quest giver, merchant. What else can you do? I think that's pretty much it. Unless I have things like bank or PvP or, you know, that kind of stuff, that could all be in there. So after doing all of that, because they're all public, when I'm in the actual editor and I plop down an NPC, he's got all these variables here. So I can say like, oh, he's a quest giver, and he's going to say blah, blah, blah. So it's quite useful. And then his index will get set by which NPC actually gets plopped down. So that's working pretty nicely. I'm happy with that. Alright, what next in my list? So you want an interaction option. So we'll spawn the NPC. I don't like create. I don't like that. Same with chests. I don't like create chests. I want spawn chest. Just makes more sense to me. I'm gonna search it later, you know? Alright guys, honestly, my fingers hurt. Ugh. We're gonna work more on this tomorrow morning. I do have I got family stuff going on tomorrow during the day, so it's gonna be tough. I might stream early morning tomorrow. I might stream late tomorrow. I haven't decided yet. It's gonna depend on family stuff and when I get up. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. We had a lot of people poking in and saying hello. Thank you, thank you. Good luck and have fun.